disposal. Look at what transpired. Pascal Siakam, your secondary option, drops 32 points, hitting 14 of his 18 shots. Marc Gasol, a big boy, was somebody they went to. He finished with 20 points and 6 of 10 shooting. Fred VanVleet comes off the bench. He drops 15 points. And how do the Golden State Warriors answer? With little to nothing. Klay Thompson didn't have the most stellar game in the world, even though he made a contribution. Andre Iguodala, I don't know if I've ever seen him look worse shooting the basketball. He was no threat whatsoever offensively. You really had nobody but the Golden State Warriors who stepped up. So when the Golden State Warriors doubled Kawhi Leonard, he had help. When Toronto doubled Steph Curry, he had no help. That was the difference in game one of this series. If that continues, all this talk of a three-peat involving the Golden State Warriors will go right out the window. They better get their act together fast.
Oh, Canada. If somebody told you the Raptors would get just 5 buckets from Kawhi Leonard, you think, hey, Warriors win easy. But no, Pascal Siakam with his finals debut in a big way. We got Tim Legler dropping science in the lab.
Well, Stan, there was a whole lot of talk after the game on the part of the Warriors in terms of their transition defense and giving up too much to the Toronto Raptors. And I thought that was right on point because to me, that was the biggest thing that I noticed in watching the game was the initial surge up the floor on the part of the Raptors. They really took advantage of some lax Golden State defense in transition, and I'll show you how they were able to get it done. And I thought their commitment to this was a big difference maker for them. It starts here, and anytime you get a guy going down offensively on a drive, put yourself in a tough spot. But Golden State gets back, and they're in really good shape because the ball is being advanced here by Kawhi Leonard, and this is where the miscommunication, and maybe the rust plays into this, but it looks like right here, Andre Iguodala should be picking up the ball. You see Klay Thompson, he's waiting on Kyle Lowry, so now he's going to bump out there, or he should bump out there. And then you got a third guy over here, Pascal Siakam in the corner, but Draymond Green would slide over there if the ball ended up there. All of this means Kevon Looney needs to be sprinting back to the rim. And I'll show you why that's important in a second because there's going to be someone else running right into that area. And if they matched up that way, you're in good shape. But instead, here's what happens. Looney lingers, so now, for all intents and purposes, he has Kawhi Leonard. That bumps out Andre Iguodala here, and it leaves Klay Thompson really in no man's land with no one to guard. Siakam clears out. Draymond has to be aware of where he is, and here's that guy I was talking about, 7-foot Marc Gasol running right down the lane, and it's a very simple pass to the middle, and they take care of 2 easy points, really because Golden State doesn't communicate well once they get back. To me, this is an even better example. Good defense contesting the 3 by Curry. Stop it right here because anytime a guy has the basketball and there are 9 players ahead of him, you shouldn't get something this easy. But again, it's a miscommunication on the part of the Warriors and a great job taking advantage on the part of the Toronto Raptors. Klay Thompson back on defense. He's going to match up over here. That's what he's looking at. Now you got Fred VanVleet running up. Steph Curry knows that's going to be his. And all this means that Shaun Livingston is in no man's land. Right now, he should be sprinting over here so he can stop the basketball, and that would allow Draymond Green to pick up Danny Green. But instead, you'll see what happens. Nobody comes over to stop ball, and eventually Draymond Green has to play 2 people, and of course he's going to stop the basketball first, and all that leads to a very simple pitch, catch, and 3 for Danny Green on a play in which you should have been back in time. So give the Raptors credit. I thought they outplayed Golden State in every phase of the game, and nothing more glaring than the way they beat them up the floor with their early offense.
All right, so how much have things changed for the odds makers? Well, not much.
The 09 beats the Warriors in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, something that never happened in a Game 1 of a Finals for the Warriors under Steve Kerr. We heard Michael Wilbon earlier talk about that Raptors defense was really something that stood out to him. Marc Gasol, former NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Well, listen, he's a big man to get around. Got it done right there. He's no longer walking in Memphis. Instead, he's causing problems in Toronto for the Warriors as a Raptor. Steph Curry can't get around him. Right here, he comes right up and doubles him, and he got all ball right there. That led to a jump ball, which was an easy win for Gasol and the Raptors when they tossed that jump ball up. Curry using a screen. Gasol runs him out of the lane right there over to Iguodala. Gasol comes over, and then Jordan Bell. Take that back to Eugene from Gasol right there. In the fourth quarter, Warriors trying to make a comeback. Gasol would eventually foul out, but he was a disturbance when he was in there. And Siakam, everybody talks about his points, but he too was a defensive presence. Warriors finished the game shooting 10 for 44. That's 23% on contested field goals, and they win it. Let's bring in Nick Friedel. And Nick, the theme of your Warriors reporting this season and this postseason has been when they've faced adversity, they're like, what's there to worry about? Well, they haven't ever faced the adversity of losing a game one of the NBA Finals since you've been covering them. So how did they handle that afterwards?
Neil, no panic at all. It was almost stunning for a group that has ridden this emotional roller coaster all year, and you're not sure sometimes what's going to appear after these games. Steph Curry, Draymond, they kind of laughed it off. They know they got outplayed by Toronto. They respect the way the Raptors play, and they know they've got to play better defense. But this group has won so often that there is no panic whatsoever. They are completely confident. Klay Thompson said, we're champions. We're champions for a reason. We're going to bounce back like champions. They are totally confident that in Game 2, they'll make their adjustments, and they'll get back to the way that we've seen them play over the last few weeks here.
All right, give me an injury report on Iguodala, Cousins, and Durant.
Okay, let's start with Iguodala. He was limping a little bit after the game, but he seemed to be fine. Steve Kerr wasn't worried. He's going to get checked out again tomorrow, but they expect him to be out there in Game 2. DeMarcus Cousins, Neil, just isn't moving real well still. Steve Kerr was pleased that he had some minutes, but it was not what you wanted to see with any consistency. So he's going to get a few more minutes in Game 2, but you just can't expect much because he hasn't done much. As far as Durant goes, everybody was trying to get Steph Curry, Steve Kerr to bite on, it'd be easier if Kevin Durant were out there. The reality is he's not going to be out there in Game 2. It may be a stretch right now to think about Game 3. He hasn't been cleared for contact. He hasn't been able to do much. They're taking it day by day, but they haven't ruled him officially out for Game 2. Nobody in that locker room, Neil, expects him to play on Sunday, though.
Game 2 Sunday, Nick Friedel, living the dream.
The focus of the Golden State attention, and understandably so. Nevertheless, he went for 23, 8, and 5. More importantly, a 1-0 lead over Golden State.
We know that they're human. They're a great basketball team, talented players, high basketball IQ players. You just got to go out there and compete, take the challenge. We know they're going to make, big shots, go on runs, and it's about just keeping your composure and keep fighting through. Don't put your head down when, players, Steph or Klay make big threes. Just keep playing.
Rachel Nichols, host of The Jump, joins us live from Toronto. And composure's a word. I had written down poised earlier. We talked to Pascal Siakam. This kid's in his first game in the finals. I kid. He's a young man. And he played like a grown man tonight. And the word poised seems to apply to him and this team. There's very little celebrating. This is what they came to do. What was your sense as you were with the Raptors following this win?
It was so striking, not just seeing it, but seeing it and what a contrast it was to past Raptors teams, and frankly, what a contrast it was to other teams that had played the Warriors during this playoff season. We saw Houston in that Game 6 especially start to panic a little bit as Steph Curry made that run that ended up sealing that series. We definitely saw in the series against Portland. Portland was up 15 points, 17 points in those games, and yet in the final 10 minutes, Scott, they're chucking up threes like they're the ones behind, panicking under the weight of what they know the Warriors' flurry can do. This Raptors team, even when Golden State got within 3-2 in the fourth quarter, didn't panic, and that's so different from what we've seen from Toronto in the past. Think about how they fell apart during Eastern Conference Finals or against LeBron. I talked to Masai Ujiri about this after the game, and he said, look, we did change out a lot of personnel, and he talked about Siakam, and he talked about Kawhi, and he talked about Marc Gasol and sort of the control that he has. And then he said a guy like Kyle Lowry, because it's not all on him anymore, he doesn't panic anymore either. And you could see it tonight. This is why Masai put himself on the ledge for all those changes. They paid off in this kind of game.
Rachel, there's a term I used to use back in the radio days, particularly when I talked to college coaches, about the value of the venue. And tonight, it seemed like the Raptors were able to tap into something. I mean, you're shaking your head. What was that? Paint the picture for me. What's that scene like?
Yeah, absolutely. You could kind of feel it building, I wouldn't say all day, but really all week. We had Tracy McGrady with us on the jump, and he could not go 4 feet in the city without someone stopping him to tell him how excited they were and how he had started what was being built up till now. You got in the building. People were lining up, Scott, to be in Jurassic Park 7 hours before it even opened. And then once that we were in the arena on the floor tonight, when that national anthem rang out, and it is the first time that an NBA Finals has ever been held outside the United States, the pride in this building was so strong. And you could see the players impacted by it. You know, a lot of arenas now have the fans with the little lights and everything, but it was pretty cool to look around and see that tonight because you'd see each individual person and how much it meant to them and how much that all sank onto the floor as they started this game.
Yeah, that's well said. And watching from afar, you could sense it. But, look, this team, I can't figure out if they're giving the crowd that or if the crowd's giving them. It feels like they take turns giving each other whatever they need. This Raptors team is just totally different from what they felt like in years past. And obviously that's the sense that you got from being around them.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a very Canadian sense about them, right? That they have calmness. They're a bunch of nice guys. It's a team that this country can be proud of. And it's really all of their history wrapped up in this moment. I mentioned Tracy McGrady. I was in Jurassic Park earlier, and I saw someone wearing a throwback Vancouver Grizzlies big country jersey, Scott. So it's all here. All 25 years has come and meant to this moment, and I think both the team and its fans know how special it is.
Well, they got 3 more to go, but it's a hell of a start. Rachel, appreciate the time. Thank you.